Hey there, homegirls. Welcome to the Adventures of Des and Cort podcast.
I'm Cort.
And I'm Des.
And together we're the unstoppable duo who've been friends for a whopping 29 years.
From sharing secrets in our teenage years to navigating the ups and downs of adulthood, we've been through it all together.
And now we're inviting you to join us as we dive into the adventures of friendship, life, and everything in between.
We're here to share our experiences, insights, and plenty of laughs along the way.
From discussing the joys and challenges of career and family to exploring self-discovery and personal growth, no topic is off limits here.
We want to create a space where women of all ages can feel seen, heard, and understood.
So grab your favorite beverage, cozy up, and let's embark on this journey together. Because life's greatest journeys are best traveled with a friend by your side. Hey, girl, hey.
Hey.
This is Cort.
And Des.
And we kind of wanted to go through our first podcast, just talking about us and how we met. Des and I met... when did you get to Mountain Home?
So we moved to Mountain Home in 94, but you and I didn't meet until, 96, I think it was. Maybe 97.
I'm the worst with years. I just remember it was 7th grade, right?
Yeah.
7th grade, because that's when junior high, we would have gone to the same school.
Yep.
I'm sure on the playground, that sounds so weird, but like outside of school, I remember hanging out with you, but I have one vivid memory of hanging out with you for the first time, one of the first times, and it's Air Force Appreciation Day. Our town does this huge parade, and then there's a bunch of vendors in the park, and I remember back then it was a big thing to get those stink bombs.
Oh, yeah.
And like it was a game then. And I just remember somebody throwing it on somebody in our group. I think it was me, you, Angie. And there was like one or two other girls was with us. But I remember walking back to Angie's house and just thinking like, I really like this girl.
That's funny because I don't have that memory until you brought that up. You know what I mean? It's one of those that you just kind of, you put away, I guess.
Yeah.
But that's funny that you remember that. And now that you say it, I do remember that happening. And, I moved from Vegas, and even though we had been here for 2 years, I still felt like the new girl. Because we moved here, and it was April of 94. And so I was in 5th grade and had like a month of 5th grade left. And we went on the base.
Oh, yeah.
Because we lived with my aunt and uncle. And then had to start another school downtown for 6th grade.
Yeah.
And it was a whole new group of kids. Like, I didn't know any of them, so I was still the new kid. And then I had to move to freaking junior high.
Yeah, which was even bigger of a school. I mean, I guess you might be used to the bigger school because of Vegas, but...
Yeah, but I mean, when I moved here, I was in elementary, so it was always the same kids in Vegas because you did have the base, but there were so many schools.
Yeah.
So I didn't have the like small town grow up where
with
everybody,
your friends.
Started going to school in kindergarten together. A lot of them. So I do remember starting junior high and just being sick to my stomach. Like, I don't know any of these kids except for my cousin Mark.
Yeah.
And he was established. He had all his friends.
Yeah. But a boy.
But I remember when we started talking, I was like, whew, she's nice. And I want to say we had language arts together or something.
Yes.
In junior high.
Yes. I'm sure we had more than more than that, but
that first year, I feel like we had
or
language
science.
arts.
Mrs. Bean. Did you have?
We had Bean. Yeah.
I think we had Mrs. Bean together.
God, we were so.
Was
I shouldn't say we. Our class was terrible
yes.
to that woman.
Yeah, that was
not.
Poor lady.
Yeah. I probably would have quit.
Oh, for sure.
I would have been like this. Well,
1 week into school, God,
Yeah.
Teenagers are the worst.
Yeah.
Especially young teenagers.
Yeah. And I think what I remember most about Courtney when junior high started was she was like friends with every group of kids. You know, there wasn't like a certain clique that you just stuck to.
Mm-hmm.
She was friends with the ag kids. She was friends with, you know, the sports kids or the jocks or whatever you want to call them. And you were friends with really everybody. And I liked that about you because I didn't feel like the new kid.
Yeah.
When we hung out.
I love that.
Yeah.
You're so sweet. I feel like you were the same way though. Like I don't think you see yourself that way, but you were always you were nice to everybody. You weren't ever mean to anybody.
Because I was trying to figure out where in the world I
Where do I fit in?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Des and I going through, I would say junior high, I wouldn't say we were best friends, but we definitely hung out through junior high,
right,
on and off. But then going into high school, I feel like we just kind of went separate ways. You were into cheerleading. Mm-hmm. I was trying to find myself. I was more into, I feel like more into a boyfriend than anything. Yeah. Like, I had a couple of friends. I mean, I still talk to everybody, but I had a couple of friends, but I was very focused on, and then you ended up actually, and a lot of people don't remember, leaving because of Mean Girls. Oh, yeah. In high school and going to the city next to us to graduate.
Yeah. I had a hard time like dealing with it, and I just got so sick of it one day. I went home, and that day, it was probably that week, I was headed out to lunch, and there was this girl that just completely tormented me. Mm-hmm. And she was so mean. And I never understood as a kid why somebody could be that mean, you know, but she egged me. And I was in my cheerleading uniform, and she egged me on my way to lunch. And I just couldn't believe that somebody could be like that mean. Yeah. You know, and like she scared me. And there was just so much drama. And I went home and I told my mom, I said, I'm dropping out. And there was no way she could talk me out of it.
Yeah, I'm not going back there. No. You can't make me.
And so I actually dropped out for a month. Maybe. It was probably a month, maybe 2 months. And I got a full-time job. I was working at Albertsons here in town, bagging groceries.
I don't remember that. That's so crazy.
And bagging groceries. And then I went in to visit my dad. And I think my parents kind of conspired against me with that. Went to visit my dad, and my dad told me, he's like, you're in your junior year of high school. Like, just go back. Yeah. Just finish. He said,
you're so close.
You're so close. Just forget about all that. But I don't think he realized,
the torment.
Yeah.
I mean, being egged. I feel like, so I remember, we've talked about this story before, but it's been so long. I feel like that we talk about it, and I'm still like, I can't remember who that was, but I have a girl in my mind.
Yeah.
And I'm like, she was ruthless.
Yeah. And now, now that I'm an adult and I have kids and stuff, I kind of not understand, but you have a little more
grace.
Yeah. For those kids that, she was really mean, but she had a really hard life. Yeah. And she ended up having a really hard adult life.
Yeah.
And so you forget about that kind of stuff, but
it still doesn't take away.
Yeah. Well, and it wasn't just that one girl.
Right. No.
Kids were just mean.
Yes.
I was the the fat cheerleader. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And kids would stand up in the stands at games and shout like cottage cheese.
Well, and you look back at pictures and
I
there's-
wish
you
I was
weren't-
that fat again.
Like what? Yeah.
Yeah. So it was just, I came home from my dad's and I agreed to go back. I had to do some online classes and stuff. But I ended up going to another high school in an even smaller town. And I didn't make a ton of friends. I just wanted to like get through.
Yeah.
And when I left is when you went through your stuff,
Yeah.
and your life changed.
Yeah.
big.
I got pregnant and
Yep.
and I left traditional school. So I had her in December, went back and took finals for that semester and then did online school for the rest of the year. So in our own worlds, really, I mean, you were in the smaller school working and I was taking school online, raising a baby and working. Yeah.
And then had to go in front of the school board to like
plead to graduate with my class. Yeah.
And walk with them.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. That was intimidating.
Yeah.
They make you, you already feel as a teen parent like you, I don't know, or less than, but then
don't deserve as much.
Yeah. And then having to go in front of a row of five or six adults and beg and say, I need to take care of my kid. Can I still graduate with my class as long as I get these done? It was intimidating.
Oh yeah,
for sure. Yeah. But then I think we just kind of, for a few years, went our own ways because of that. Because I was in the mom,
right,
and you were in your young adult life, and then we ended up on the same street.
Right, but do you remember though? We ended up reconnecting through my mom's restaurant.
Oh yeah, yes.
And my mom owned a restaurant here in town with
at that time, my mother-in-law at that time. Yeah.
Your mother-in-law. And so your baby Adriana, she was 2, I think. Maybe a
little.
year.
I think she was like a year and a half. Yeah.
And I ended up babysitting her a couple of times.
I do remember that.
Yeah. I have a picture of her in the backseat of my car.
Yep.
And then we just kind of went our own separate ways again. And I think it was that whole thing again of just being in different areas of our life. Like nothing negative or anything.
No.
Just different times.
Yes.
For sure.
Yeah. And then ended up on the same street.
Yep.
Oh my gosh, that's a wild story too. Say me, Des, and her now husband's ex-wife, we all graduated together and all had kids at the same time and lived on the same street. It's wild.
Yeah, it's funny. So December, March, and May. And we weren't super connected at the time, but we all 3 lived on the same street, pregnant. And who would have thought that
I know
that would be my husband one day and you and I would be best friends?
Yes, I love it. It's funny how the universe works. And then I would say 2010. Is
I think so.
We were out hanging out. And then I see.
And you were in college at the time, right? You were finishing college.
Yeah. So I had gone to, I feel like every school you could imagine. Right out of high school, I went to beauty school, and then dropped out. Maybe halfway through.
We're both beauty school dropouts.
Yeah, beauty school dropout. And then worked for a little while. Went back to school to be a medical assistant. Got that job and realized that it wouldn't pay very well and
right.
I wasn't going to go very far with that. And then had Isaac. So then I had 2 littler kids and was like, well, I'll just stay home, because of daycare expenses.
So expensive.
Yep. And then I was like, no, I need to do something else. So that's when I went back to Boise State.
Yeah.
And started college. So yeah, I was in college. I'd graduated that year, 2010, but so yeah.
Yeah. Not too shabby for a teen mom.
You're so sweet.
No, I'm serious.
Yeah.
Like, you know.
Yeah. They definitely were my why. She was like, I'm going to show you that you can do this.
Right. Yeah.
If I can do it, you can do it.
Yeah. So it was 2010. You had either just graduated or you were about to graduate.
I think so.
Yeah. And we ended up
At the bar.
Yeah.
Yes.
You were out with I think some Air Force wives.
Probably, maybe even Mary.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. your
Right.
Your ex or your husband's ex-wife.
Yeah.
And Josh, I think Josh was there.
Uh-huh.
And then I remember seeing you come in, and I think you were with your boss at the time, but she was also your friend.
Uh-huh.
And another, I swear it was Amanda.
It may have been. It probably was, honestly.
And you were a little drunky.
Yeah.
And I remember just chit-chatting with you, and we like picked up where we left off.
Uh-huh.
And it was like, I'm hanging with her again.
Right. It was like the two drunk girls in the bathroom.
Like, oh my God, you're so pretty.
Yeah. How are you, God? I love you.
Yeah.
You know, all those strangers you meet in the bathroom
Why
at the bar.
haven't we been hanging out? We need to hang out more.
At Charlie's.
Yep. Yeah, which is not even there anymore.
No.
It's wild.
It was the bar where everybody went to dance and be, you know.
When you had established, yes. And you had established yourself. I mean, you were working with Kim. You had your career going.
Yeah. And I mean, I never even thought of it as a career at that point. You know, you're
job.
just working, trying to
survive.
I mean, I think I was 26, maybe. Mm-hmm. Yeah, probably 26 when I started that job. No, I lied. I was 25.
25.
You know, and it was just a job to pay bills. And oh my God, it had insurance.
Yeah.
Like I have a job that has health insurance.
I'm a big kid now.
Yeah. And I just remember going out with Amanda and Kim, and I think I remember the night that was. So Amanda and Kim are older than me. Mm-hmm. Amanda's 10 years older than me. And then Kim is 10 years older than Amanda. And they were my buddies.
Yeah.
You know, we worked in the same business and stuff. And that night we had gone to the Edge here in town.
Oh my goodness.
And you remember
Dive
the
bar.
Edge, right?
Yeah.
And at that time, I'm not a beer drinker. And Amanda bought me a beer, and I'm like, you know that I don't drink beer. And it was in a bottle. And she goes, well, I mean, take a look at the crowd. You might need a weapon later. And I'm like, then what are we doing here? Because Amanda is like not afraid of anything, you know? And I think we had one drink, and then I convinced her and Kim to go to Charlie's.
That's funny.
Yeah. And I think Kim maybe lasted...
Yeah, not long.
Not long, and had her husband come pick her up. And Amanda was good to go. She was ready.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
And then I feel like ever since then, like I don't remember us not talking.
No, that's really when we became super close.
Yeah.
And started our consistent friendship.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then 2012 came around, and I was not enjoying my job. And you said, "Come work for me."
Yeah, and you're like, "What?" I'm like, "You could do sales. Like we could do this, you know." And I feel like you were in such a spot with your employment at that time that you didn't even think twice about it. You're like, "Well, let me talk to Josh."
Yeah.
And I'll let you know. And the next day she's like, what do I have to do?
Yeah. I think I was done. I might have stayed that 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
like probably the next day you had your boss call me, and the day after that I had an offer letter and I had put in my 2 weeks. So
Yeah.
and then I was working with you and
yeah. And so, as a lot of we do home loans together and we run a team of two. And at that time it was like a big refi boom. So
yeah.
we were doing a ton of refinances and it was always busy. And it was, I think we're both a lot alike as far as we're hands-on learners.
Yes. Yep. Dive in.
Yeah. So it was like, hey, welcome to work. There's your phone, your desk, and this is what we do.
Yeah. Yep. And here's your guidelines if you need to.
This is where you look them up. Yeah. And so 2012, that happened. Mm-hmm. And yeah, that's when we started working together and hanging out.
And then we left. So that was for one bank. And then we left there and went to start our own, basically. We worked for a company, but it was all fully commissioned at that point. We had no, like, what would you call it?
Salary or anything.
Yeah.
It was here we go.
Yeah. So we started that, and it started out very slowly.
That first year was so hard.
Yeah, we struggled.
So hard.
But it was funny.
Yeah,
we were funny then.
It was. We always talk about that, like, the most stressful times in our lives. I feel like that's when we were the funniest. Mm-hmm. And I had gotten married it was shortly after we had made that big decision.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
And my husband at the time wasn't super supportive. And we did end up getting a divorce, and things were still really hard. Mm-hmm. And I can remember going home to, like, my water being shut off, or the guy from the city there to shut my water off, and just trying to survive.
Yeah.
But God, we would show up every day.
Every day. Yep.
Every day and try. And we had a lot of learning curves.
We did.
And
for sure.
A few meltdowns, I feel like.
Yep.
Manic episodes.
Yeah. We joke because that guy was the one that called our job a hobby. So we often just call our job a hobby, and we joke about it.
Yeah. Well, and
let me go make some money at that hobby.
Yeah. And it's like hobbies are supposed to be fun.
And not having fun at that time.
Not having fun.
Right.
That hot pink water bill, and they're like, oh God.
Yeah.
It was tough.
But so Des is married. You want to tell a little bit about your personal life right now?
Sure. So I am now married to Corey, and we share 3 kids. I have a biological daughter, Sophia, and then Corey has Trey and Jace, which are my stepsons. And, going from being a mom of 1 girl to additional 2 boys, and we don't have them all the time, but it was learning how to be a boy mom. I never thought it would be different, but so yeah, honestly, Corey has been such a huge blessing.
Yeah.
Patient. He's never called my job as a hobby. Maybe as a joke, because he jumps in on the joke with us. But yeah, it took me a while to find him, but yeah, he's just my buddy.
Yeah.
And he's supportive and stuff.
And you have 2 that are 18 and graduating.
Yeah. It's crazy to think.
In a month-ish, 6 weeks.
Yeah. And it's like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Like how in the hell did that happen, right?
Yeah.
We were just hanging out in junior high, and now our kids are graduating.
Yeah. It's wild.
Yeah.
I saw something the other day that said there's moments when you wish that this moment would go by so fast. And then there's moments where you wish it would just slow down.
Yeah.
And I was like, that is so true. And right now I just want it to slow down.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and because you've got Isaac graduating.
Yeah. So I got married. I did get married right out of high school, but then to my daughter's dad, but then we divorced within a couple years. And then I got remarried to Josh, and we've been married for almost 19 years, which is weird to say.
Yeah, so crazy.
And then we have Isaac, and Isaac is 18 and will be graduating, and he's our last. So I talked about Adriana. She's 23, so she's in town, but she's on her own and living her own life. So now you and I are headed into that stage of pretty much empty nesters. I mean, we know they'll still need us, but but now we got to find us and not just be mom and work. And we thought that this podcast could bring us some joy and you guys some joy.
Yeah. Maybe some laughs too along the way.
Yeah. And guidance. Let us be your besties. And
my mom always said I love to hear myself talk. She said that, and I was like, what?
Rude.
And now I'm super aware of it too. I'm like, I'm talking a lot. Shush.
Ever since she said that, I can like almost see it in your eyes when you feel like because we know each other so well now. I can, when you talk about yourself or you're talking about something, I can just see it written all over your face when you're like, I think I'm talking too much.
Yeah, like, shut up, Desiree. Shut up.
And you're not. I could just see that you're like, oh, I got to worry about that.
You don't ever want to be that asshole, right?
You're not. You never have been.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, you want to be aware of it. You don't want to be like, leave somewhere and be like, well,
yes,
I just took over everybody's life with my motor mouth. But I feel like that's like an ADHD thing too.
Oh yeah.
Just
and the manic thing, which I think you and I can both get sometimes.
Yeah.
And I think when we're around each other, we just freely talk. It's so wild how we can jump around sometimes. Just to 10 conversations within 10 minutes.
Yeah. And then you go, did you catch all that? Did we cover everything?
Yeah. We had a few people say that they are very, very excited for us to do this. And we kind of feel impostery a little bit because we never thought we'd be doing this. But we also want to talk about, because our friendship, we treat like... we treat it almost like a marriage. Or sisters. You know, some people think we're lesbians.
Oh God, the running rumor. I feel like it's gotten better since I got married to Corey, because after my divorce, I had a long break.
Yes, you did.
Of, you know, like I was seeing people, but they weren't. I didn't allow them. After being hurt like that, you know, you start protecting like your kid and the people you love. Like, I'm having fun with you, but you're not allowed to meet my family.
Yeah, my circle, my kid. Yeah.
And so, I mean, I was like yours and Josh's third wheel.
Yes.
And people always would make joke. And I'm like, I don't think this is a joke.
Yeah, right. Some people for sure you know, we're like, I guarantee.
Yeah, like we were just in a polygamous marriage. I mean, he mowed my lawn, and you know,
for a beer, not sex.
Right, exactly. Exactly.
That's funny. I remember when your dogs got out when you had surgery and he came over to mow your yard and he was so pissed and
so pissed.
You were drugged up trying to get the dogs.
Yeah, well, and I was so sore too, so I couldn't even help him, you know. And I felt so terrible, but to see him at the end of the cul-de-sac, like trying to dive in onto the ground and catch these dogs, and they just kept running from him, and he was sweating.
Oh my God,
and
I love it.
so pissed, and I felt so bad. I called Courtney when he left. I'm like,
your husband's coming home.
He's coming home. Don't let him talk too much shit about me. But my dogs got out.
I love it. I remember when we would go, gosh, I feel like we hung out all the time, but especially like our thing's always been Friday nights. It still is, but like we would go get a spray tan.
Yeah.
We would go get a spray tan, come home, and he'd be ready with drinks for us. We'd all sit there and just talk so much shit. He loves it.
He does.
He does. Also so excited about this podcast and cannot wait. And he wants to be the first guest. He cannot wait to just come and talk some shit with us on the podcast.
Yep.
Super sweet. Corey's excited too, but he's not so excited about being a guest on the show, I bet.
Well, he's not really a podcast listener.
Yeah.
So, you know, if you're not a podcast listener, then you don't really get it. And I didn't think I would ever be a podcast listener.
Yeah.
But I actually enjoy a podcast more than like music.
Yeah.
You know, like when I'm getting ready in the morning and stuff, I will listen to a podcast.
Something to focus on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's totally the ADD in me, but
I like it too. I like it sometimes in the car too. Because then it's just not the same music over and over again, or you can listen to something that you want to learn about. Yeah. Mindlessly. Just drive and your brain zones out. But getting back to the podcast and some of the reasons that we want to do it. One is, like I was mentioning, our relationship. A lot of people are like, how do you, as women, it's hard to keep a relationship because people can be catty or take things too personally. Right. So Des and I, and it's funny because I feel like some of the first things when they find out how long we've been friends, one of the very first things that we almost always get is, and you guys don't fight? Have you guys had any fights? Right. Like they're waiting for that. Of course. Right. Of course we have.
Like sister fights.
Tiffs.
Yeah. Last 5 minutes.
And then we joke about them later because we give each other grace.
Right. Oh, one of my favorite fights is, so not only do we hang out a lot as friends, we work together every day. So honestly, if you think about it, we spend more time with each other than we do with anyone in our lives. Because it's a social and work thing for us. Yes. But it was during that time that we were working over at the other place, had just left the bank. And we're sitting at my desk, and I get a text from Courtney. Oh, and she's sitting at the desk right next to me, and I'm like, and we had an admin at that point. Yeah. And I'm like, why is she texting me? And I open the text, and it says, I don't know why, but Des is bugging the shit out of me today. And I text her back. I'm like, so do we need to go for a drive and have a talk or something?
I thought I sent it to Josh.
Yep. But she sent it to me. And we get in the car, and I was dying laughing. I'm like, why am I annoying you so bad today? And I think that really just was like you even said, I don't know.
It was me more than anything.
But we laughed about it at that point, and I was like, well, I'm sorry. Driving around and laughing about it. And I said, do you want me to go home early today? But I think both of us are the grace, not taking that personal. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yes. That was a funny
That's like when you
fight. That's our typical fight.
Yes, it's like when the dogs had shit in the kennel at your house, and we had just pulled up in the car, and I was waiting in the car for you, and you went into the house and you were like, the dog shit in the kennel. I'm going to clean it. And I was like, okay. And I get on my phone and I'm answering emails or scrolling.
Right.
Thinking there's one hose, you're going to spray out the kennel. And I could tell you were irritated. But you were irritated at the situation, not me.
Right. Yeah.
But then you get in the car, you could have made yourself useful.
And yeah. And after I said that, I was like, who do I think I am? Because honestly, I didn't want your help like cleaning it.
I just want you out here with me to support me. Just, damn it.
Yeah. Stand next to me. That's all.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah.
You know,
you're just irritated at the situation. I think that's the grace that we give. We know this is not geared towards me. She's irritated at the situation or something else she got going on, and because we hang out or around each other so much, she's taking it out on me.
Yep. I think we've gotten a little bit better at that too, though, as we've gotten older. Just
Absolutely.
Going, that ain't about me.
Yep.
Like, you want to go ahead and be a jerk for the next 15 minutes? Go ahead.
Yep.
You know?
And Des and I, we always say how lucky we are because we know not everybody has the friendship that we have. Like, and we always say if anything ever happens, it wouldn't. But if anything ever happens, I won't have that friend. It would be so hard to have that friendship. Mm-hmm. There's so much work that's gone into keeping and nurturing and creating this friendship.
Yeah, it would almost be like a divorce.
Yeah,
for sure. Because our lives are so intertwined.
Yep.
And, you know, when people say, I don't have a friend like that, like, it bums me out.
Yeah, it hurts your heart.
Because, you know, I think everybody deserves a friendship that is a constant and that is, you know, supportive and
unconditional. I mean, we know things about each other that nobody knows, and and we love each other still through it, and can say, "Hey, like, enough.
Right,
you were a dick, or you need to quit that. Get shit together." Like,
like when I went through my spiral after my divorce, you said to me, "Okay, this is enough." You know,
I've had a few of those from you too.
Yeah. And that's the thing. I don't ever want a friend who always agrees with me.
Right. A yes person.
That's not real life. Like, I want somebody to tell me, like, I don't know who you think you are or like what you've gotten yourself into, but you better get your shit together. Yeah. You know, because I really was spiraling. Yeah. And I needed to hear that. Yep. Like, hearing it from your mom is one thing, right? But hearing it from a friend, you're like, oh.
Yeah. And it might take a minute, especially because Des and I are very stubborn people. But
no.
Yes.
Not at all.
And we do things at our own time. But when you hear it from somebody else and you can pause and go, okay. Yeah. Maybe she's right. Mm-hmm. I think it definitely helps. I think anymore, me and you just make each other pause before we react.
Right. Practice the pause.
Yep. Yeah. Practice the pause.
Yep.
I think we've gotten really good at that. It's funny, too, you think, I often think, like, we were meant to be friends. I'm that total girl. You know that.
Oh, yeah. Astrology,
the universe.
Yeah. Crystals.
Fate. Yeah. Definitely. Put us together at a certain time. Like, I feel like we just wouldn't have, we never know, but I feel like it was like, okay, now they're
ready.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure. And because then we were at similar points in our lives at that point.
For sure.
Yeah, at that time. Yeah. So I'm really excited for this podcast and, you know, to relive some memories and stuff of our adventures that we have and really just share with it and laugh again. Yes. Yeah. You know?
Yeah, we definitely want to, you know, talk about obviously a relationship as females, best friends, being older, but we also want to talk about topics that women our age are going through and hopefully not be so serious in every podcast, but make you laugh a little bit.
Right.
We want this to bring us joy and bring you joy. And just really have fun with it.
Yeah. And so, if you have any ideas for us or, want us to cover anything, just reach out, let us know. We're super excited.
Yeah. Thanks for listening to our first Adventures of Des and Cort podcast. See you later, homegirls.